One of the countries that is seated at this very table has publicly declared its intention to annex our nation. Its president on the 16th of December last year demanded from us that we immediately surrender our lands, our petroleum, and all our minerals because they supposedly rightfully belong to them. He declared that if we do not comply with his ultimatum, he would then unleash the devastating fury of the most powerful armada in all of history upon our nation. Mr. President, we are now confronted by a power that operates completely outside the bounds of international law. This power is demanding that we, the Venezuelan people, abandon our homeland and surrender to them our precious Orinoco River, our vast Lake Maracaibo, our beautiful Margarita Island, our cherished beaches, our vital rivers, our expansive plains, and our majestic mountains. Otherwise, he will launch an armed attack, one he has been openly announcing for weeks now. This constitutes the greatest act of extortion ever known in our entire history. A truly gigantic crime of aggression currently in full development, completely outside of every rational parameter, outside of all legal logic, outside of all historical precedent.
Excuse me, Secretary General, could you please call the office?
Mr. President, the assassinations in the Caribbean Sea and in the Pacific Ocean carried out by the United States government over the past several months constitute a clear initial indication of its strategic plan to impose its power in this region in blatant and undeniable violation of international law and fundamental human rights. This refers to more than 29 separate attacks that have resulted in a total of over 101 victims, non-combatant civilians, in the complete absence of armed conflict, who were coldly and deliberately assassinated, violating their fundamental right to the presumption of innocence and to due process. Let it be made absolutely clear once and for all, there is no war taking place in the Caribbean, there is no international armed conflict, nor is there a non-international armed conflict, which makes it utterly absurd for the United States government to attempt to justify its actions by applying the rules of the law of war.
Let me begin by stating and reiterating the United States does not recognize Nicolas Maduro or his cronies as the legitimate government of Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro is a fugitive from American justice and the head of the foreign terrorist organization Cartel de los Soles. In fact, Maduro and his regime stole the election, and the international community has the receipts. President Trump has been very clear that he is going to use the full power of the United States of America, the full might of the United States, to take on and eradicate these drug cartels which have operated with impunity in our hemisphere for far too long, and everyone knows it. The single most serious threat to this hemisphere, our very own neighborhood, and the United States, is from transnational terrorists and criminal groups.
Pirates on motorcycles, a city on edge, and a fresh flashpoint in the Caribbean. Dozens of motorcyclists dressed as pirates flooded the streets of Caracas. The reason? They were staging a dramatic protest against US President Donald Trump's order to seize Venezuelan oil tankers under what Washington calls a blockade of sanctioned oil vessels moving in and out of Venezuela.
Venezuela, and we have come out to repudiate the Caribbean's chief pirate who is now stealing the oil of all Venezuelans because it rightfully belongs to us. Today we stand here declaring to the entire world that these iron horses which are present here are ready for the defense of our homeland in absolutely any circumstance or moment that may arise.
We call for peace, but we are also fully prepared to defend it and to take up arms, to defend our own people.
Meanwhile, Venezuela's Interior, Justice and Peace Minister, Diosdado Cabello, escalated the rhetoric sharply, issuing a direct warning to Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking at an event at the Police Coordination Centre in La Guaira on Monday, Cabello accused Trinidad and Tobago of allowing its territory to be used by the United States for military operations targeting Venezuela. This while stressing that Venezuela has always lived in peace and does not seek conflict. Cabello warned Caracas will not remain passive if attacked.
The empire, sooner rather than later, I truly hope it's very, very soon it will disappear. It absolutely must disappear for the good of all humanity. If not, humanity will head straight for disaster, for tragedy. It will descend into barbarism because imperialism is completely unbridled. Indeed, imperialism knows no bounds. It has no limits. Imperialism blackmails with its sheer force, with its immense power. President Nicolas Maduro, our brother president, he called us.
We honestly don't get involved with anyone. This community knows its own path, knows what we must do. We don't depend, fortunately, on anyone, on no one. We depend on what we ourselves are capable of doing. And then a comprehensive series of exercises was implemented across all of the various locations. We listened to that particular lady from Trinidad who simply cannot seem to escape from her perpetual alcoholic haze.
Yes, for not to say more, they are using Trinidad against Venezuela, exploiting its territory against Venezuela. Those people don't agree with it. They come here and make themselves at home as if it were their own house and it has to be their home.
We have we have always lived in peace. The Venezuela doesn't fight with anyone, but they leave us no alternative. If Trinidad lends its territory to attack Venezuela, we have to respond. We have no other choice to prevent them from attacking us. You see things, and one takes notes and makes calls and speaks and acts.
Indignant, deeply indignant, dear Mayor, our community is indignant and upset by the accusations being leveled against us, but also deeply troubled by the brazen theft of boats that have departed from Venezuela.
It's outright robbery. It's nothing but piracy. It's the privateering license. They want to tell the world they have to be the police of the entire universe, for God's sake.
We are a people possessing a dignity that has been put to every test. To say that Venezuela has stolen their precious oil and their ancestral land. Yes, their land and their oil.
And all of his precious mineral resources. Oh my goodness, what an absolute another outrage. What an absolute another outrage this is. That simply makes no logical sense at all. Not in the slightest. A nation that should be truly and completely sovereign.
The warning comes days after Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, said military cooperation with the United States is a defensive necessity amid rising regional tensions. As pressure from Washington intensifies, Trinidad and Tobago has authorized the installation of a US radar system on its territory, a move now fueling fears of further escalation. With oil seizures, military deployments, and threats of retaliation, tensions in the Caribbean are rising, and Venezuela is signaling it is prepared to respond if crossed. For the second time in less than 2 weeks, American forces have stopped an oil tanker near Venezuela as Trump intensifies pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The latest move comes amid escalating rhetoric from the White House, with Trump warning that President Nicolas Maduro's hold on power is nearing its end. This week, Trump also demanded that Venezuela return assets seized years ago from US oil companies, citing those losses as part of the justification for the blockade. The administration says the pressure campaign is driven by disputes over oil investments, as well as accusations that Venezuela is linked to drug trafficking.
It's the lower amount of illegal drugs that are coming by sea, and you just said that you're going to start that same program on land soon. Are you just referring to Venezuela, or are you referring to other countries in Latin America?
Anywhere drugs are pouring in, anywhere, not just Venezuela. No. Yes?
Speaking of Venezuela, oil. What are we going to do with the oil that we have?
Going to do with what?
The oil that has been seized. The United States seized 1.9 million barrels of oil on December 10th.
We're going to keep it. We're keeping it.
Where's it? Are we going to sell it or put it in the strategic
Maybe
oil
we'll sell
reserve?
it. Maybe we'll keep it. Maybe we'll use it in the strategic reserves. We're keeping it. We're keeping the ships also. Yeah, please.
About Venezuela, sir, have you spoken to American oil companies that have had their assets seized about what a post-Maduro Venezuela would mean for them, what coming back and restarting operations?
The big ones, yeah. I have. Yeah, please.
Why do you feel like this initiative was neglected for so many years, and does this come amidst the rising tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela?
We're talking about with Venezuela?
Yes.
Well, you had a different kind of a president before me. They didn't mind being ripped off. They didn't mind being robbed. They didn't mind drugs pouring into our country. They didn't mind the jails of Venezuela and Nicaragua being emptied into the U.S., where they take over Colorado and other places. I do mind. So you had a different kind of a president. I hope people are enjoying it because we've never been respected more than we are now. Yeah, please.
You mentioned strikes on land in Venezuela more than 15 times, even now, just in your recent remarks. Why should Maduro take your threats seriously? And
he can do whatever he wants.
What's your end game?
Maduro?
What's your end game?
There's no answer. He could do whatever he wants. I mean, we have a massive armada formed, the biggest we've ever had, and by far the biggest we've ever had in South America. He could do whatever he wants. It's all right. Whatever he wants to do. If he wants to do something, if he plays tough, it'll be the last time he's ever able to play tough. But they sent their prisoners into us. They sent people from jails, and prisons. They sent people from mental institutions and insane asylums into the United States. Just walked right in because Biden had an open border policy. What the Biden administration did to our country can never be forgotten. They took in millions and millions, 25 million people over the course of 4 years. Many of those people were murderers and drug dealers, prisoners, rough prisoners. 11,888 murders. More than half of them killed more than one person. They came into our country. Now, I spoke to Christine Noem today. I spoke to Tom Homan today. He came down to see me. And we had a great meeting. They've done an amazing job. We're getting them out. We're getting them out very fast. But this should have never happened. But Venezuela was Venezuela took advantage of the open borders that Biden created more than any other country. Nicaragua, we had gangs all over. Look, I mean, you have a very weak governor in Colorado. Look what happened in Colorado, where they would occupy apartment houses. And he didn't want to do anything about it because he was scared. Any other questions?
Sanctioned oil tanker yesterday. Are you able to share what became of that tanker? Was the U.S. able to seize it?
No, it's moving along, and we'll end up getting it. Yeah, we're actually pursuing it. Can you imagine? Because it came from the wrong location. It came out of Venezuela, and it was sanctioned. Yeah, please.
Goal in Venezuela to force Maduro from power?
Well, I think it probably would. I can't tell that. That's up to him, what he wants to do. I think it would be smart for him to do that. But again, we're going to find out. Look, Venezuela did terrible things to the United States. They sent hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, into our open border. They sent their criminals. They sent their prisoners. They sent their drug dealers. They sent their mentally insane and incompetent people into our country more than any other country. Others did too. The Congo did. Others did too. And we just let them come right in because we were run by a stupid president. But you don't have a stupid president anymore.
And I truly believe that President Trump could perform much better, both within his own country and on the global stage. He would certainly fare better, wouldn't he? Within his own nation, by effectively addressing the crucial economic and social challenges, he would also fare much better with the world if he genuinely focused on his country's domestic issues. Every president should concentrate on their own responsibilities, particularly the economy.
President cannot be thinking what he's going to, how he'll govern other nation. Okay? Imagine if I wasted my time instead of being Venezuela's president, thinking of meddling with other countries, of seeking problems and troubles for them, of wanting to rule the world, right? I would be doing it very badly.
And most likely tomorrow, a special law will already be approved as a law of the Republic, a specific piece of legislation to enforce the global conventions that prohibit the assault of ships, piracy, and all other offenses against international trade. The law is called the law to guarantee free navigation and commerce against piracy in the world seas. Venezuelan oil, there it is.
By law, by the Constitution, by Bolivar's decree, it is Venezuelan. It will be Venezuelan forever, but it is open to global and national investment.